Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatguru. So we are discussing, the topic is Karma Yoga. Even if we do not read or subscribe to the scriptural view, one thing is sure, that all of us are bound to do karma for our survival, to be alive, to keep our life going. We must work. There are some work which are there for physical survival. You have to breathe. You have to move. You have to take food. You have to digest the food. And food will not come by itself. You have to earn the food. And one way or other. So everything is so much interlinked that nobody is free from action. Even those who renounce, for them also, certain karma, certain actions are required. They also cannot live without that. Even Holy Mother Sarada Devi, from very practical point of view, she says, if you don't serve people, if you don't do work, who will give you food? That is not told only because we live in the society. Even if you are living away from the society, still to beg food, at least you will have to be at the door of someone. And why society should be taking your responsibility? You need to give back to the society in form of knowledge, in form of wisdom, in form of your devotional activities. In one way or other, everybody is bound to perform actions. There is a beautiful small teaching told by Sri Ramakrishna to his disciple. Be always aware, be always conscious about what you take and what you give. Nothing comes free in this world. Not that in return you must pay money. You pay in other way. When devotees support the organization, mission, it is mission's duty we perform in form of service activities, in form of spiritual activities, holding the programs, holding the celebrations, functions, and create a platform for devotees to come and progress spiritually. Having said all of this, the main contention is that it is must for everyone to do work. Now, how do you work? You can be attached. That is your contribution. Society doesn't care whether you do seva with some motive or without some motive. Even society may not know, even the person next to you may not know. So internally, what is your attitude towards doing work makes all difference in your spiritual progress. Don't think external, that a person is serving the temple, so he is greater, or servicing government, he is not, or serving to private, he is not. No, it has nothing to do with that. Wherever you do work, Whether you do a job or you do social service, you do seva, whichever way you do work, the attitude towards the work constitutes the aspects of karma yoga. Karma is common. Karma is common. All of us work, top to bottom. Difference in the attitude of doing work is the same attitude makes the difference in one person to another person. Serving the same God, one person progresses, one doesn't. It is like hearing a discourse, hearing a lecture by a professor, and the result is different. In the same way, serving the same cause, the subjective result is different because of the attitude. So how to correct this attitude? Especially activities which you consider that it is meant for my spiritual progress. Those activities you have to be ultra aware, ultra conscious, that no selfishness enters here. The more unselfish you are, more rapid progress you make in spiritual life. Swami Vivekananda says in one place, unselfishness is God. An atheist who doesn't believe in God, but he or she is completely unselfish, progress faster than even the person who visits temple. God is not only in the temple. What you see in the temple is a stimulus given to the people who visit the temple. Many of you are regularly coming to mission, say for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Have you seen any change in the statue in the temple? Statue doesn't change. Only the devotees who visit, they change. So everybody changes equally? No. Why the result of visiting the temple and praying in the temple is not the same? It is like you have many instruments and machines in a gym where people go to strengthen their body. Say the membership is for 1 year. Why after 1 year the result among the members of the gym is so different? All the instruments are the same. That which is 2 kilo remains 2 kilo throughout. And there is 2 kilo for everyone. Difference is in attitude. So spiritual life is subjective. Spiritual life is not objective. Spiritual life is subjective. How you do, what's your attitude behind doing that? That makes all the difference. So in one or two shlokas, Krishna clears that nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutishtati akarmakrit. No one can stay even for a second without doing work. So karma is must, that much we are sure. Now how to do work? He says, it is in your nature that rajoguna or the rajas signifies the desires which you have. The more desirous person works more harder. If person has less desires, his requirements are less, he doesn't do that hard work. For example, my goal as an individual, not as a monk, just one example I am telling you. One person's goal is to buy a 3-room flat HDB. Another person has a goal to buy a 3-room condominium. Who has to work harder? the second person because he needs more money. This is the example only. That the perspective is this. The more your desires are, bigger your desires are, you have to work harder. And there is no end of desire. Unless you are spiritually oriented, even if you are spiritually oriented, I have seen people keep on increasing desires. We have no right to say anybody anything. So we just think once. Of course you need, according to what you think your status is, according to you think what you should have. But if you see this scenario, if you see the picture of the world, not all the great people were the top richest people in the world, no. Rather it is other way around. So idea is not there, it is not objective. You do what you like to do. The subjective attitude. Other day I was telling that probably the atheists are the best people to practice spirituality. They don't need to believe in God. I met one or two people, common people. For some reason, no, I don't believe in God. That's okay. That doesn't make you my enemy. No. But are you interested to know the truth? If you say, no, I'm not interested, okay, then live your life and die. A human birth, compared to other animals, we are thinking people. We don't only live on our instincts. We have intellect. We don't do anything without a purpose. Other animals, according to their instinct, they live the whole life same way. They cannot change the program which they are born with. We can change. In general, exceptions are different thing. That by accident among animals. But every human being is an exception. If you see the other kingdoms, animal kingdoms, birds or insects or something, you will find all the crows behave in the same way. You will find all the dogs behave in the same way. You can train them and make little changes. Maybe you get a dog who is eating fruits, maybe. But seldom. It is by train. Human intervention comes there. But in a normal and natural condition, there is particular food which every individual takes. They're born like that. There is an animal who eats only ants. Correct? Ant eater. Only ants. How? No, he is made like that. There are animals who do not take any vegetation, only praise the living beings, other smaller animals, because they are made like that. There are animals who takes only vegetation. They don't eat other animals. They are made like that. They cannot change the program. A cow cannot think, oh, let me test something different. It is the limitations. That's why they are called prani, animals. Human being, there is something extra, X factor. That X factor is our intellect. It is not borrowed. We are born with that. We are also born with certain instincts, just like other animals. We also eat. A human being wants to procreate. Human being has some finer goals, wants name, fame. Have you heard any goat trying to be famous? No. That level, except the body level, these are simple things which are very silly to say, but just for your knowledge. Except human being, nobody's head is higher. Gorillas trying to keep the head high, but remaining all animals, the brain, the heart, the stomach, other organs are all the same level. Because everything instinct. Human being is fortunate. We are born with our instincts. We are forced to behave like that according to our instinct. But the manifestation of our instinct can be controlled, can be censored, can be accelerated, can be reduced, can be stopped. This ability is not there in other animals. Any type of good animals, any kind of, they don't decide as human being decides. So, human being is born with something extra. That extra has different names. Intellect in general. What is the concept of morality among other animals? There is no question. Concept truthfulness in any other animal? No. By instinct, whatever is there is there. But they cannot evolve. The evolved tendencies, they don't have love. They have instinct, which apparently looks like love. Yeah? People are very fond of putting the videos how their dogs and cats love them. It is not love. Because the dog knows that he or she is there who will give food twice a day. Stop giving food. Show the stick, 1, 2, 3 days. After that, detach. Whomsoever will give food, dog is attached to them. Human being has a higher, finer state of being. Sri Ramakrishna in one line says, don't underestimate human being. If human being wants, can even realize God. No other animal has this, even an idea of realizing God. So idea is this, concept is this, that God is not partial, gives everyone, every living being, few fundamental rights. But there is a mechanism. And the mechanism is very interesting. This is one aspect, not philosophical but practical. For example, you manage a company which you have, say, 1,000 employees, and you are successfully managing that company, successfully managing these 1,000 people, utilizing them with all given rights and duties and all that. There is another person who can manage 5,000 people. The yet bigger person may be who manages 50,000 people. And you really appreciate them. They are very intelligent, they can manage, there is no quarrel, everything is according to rule, everybody is happy, nobody resigns, so and so. Think of that intelligence. We're 8 billion human beings only, and trillions of living beings are being fed every day. Whichever is the mechanism. Unless there is a human intervention, nature doesn't fail. Swami Vivekananda says in one place, is by doing one act which is really very good, you appreciate a person. You are so good that we erect a statue. Then Swami Vivekananda says, if you want to erect a statue, there is only one person whose statue can be made, and that is Mother Nature. You cannot be bigger than her. You cannot be more efficient than her. But we are human beings, so within our circle we appreciate you. Nature is totally different. In one country they have taken up a huge project, huge solar project, which can enlighten maybe thousands and thousands of houses. You appreciate, fine. Why don't you appreciate that sun, whose one ray is enough to sustain that solar project? The light of the sun is millions and billions of times bigger than whatever effort you can take to enlighten the house. Idea is this, that when you look at Mother Nature, when you look at totality, you feel yourself very small. And to feel small is from this perspective that you don't become egoistic. There's a more and more great person you are, more and more humble you become. There's a famous statement by Sir Isaac Newton. You will find in internet. Maybe the wordings are different. Sir, you are so great, you are a great scientist, this and that. He took little sand from the seashore and told, maybe my knowledge is this much. Look at the vast expanse of seashore lying with tons of sand. This infinite bank, knowledge bank, I have only this much. So idea is this, that we keep on doing karma. We keep on doing karma. The difference is in attitude. Sometimes people, you will find, they do a small work but show off that they have done so big. There are some people who do big works but just keep quiet. Attitude is important. Now, spirituality is subjective. It doesn't matter whether people consider you as spiritual or not. Your spirituality is not affected by that. You don't need to show off your spirituality. Even there is a concept which is very difficult for many of us to digest. Even I have heard monks telling, this cloth is a bondage. Even I do not want this bondage also. Why? Without knowing who am I, you consider me something which I could not, which I may not be. This dress makes your brain work in a different way. I don't want to do that. I want to be simple. Nobody notices me. Spiritual life is subjective. It is not important what work you are doing. It is important with what attitude you do work. From spiritual point of view. There are many other point of views are there. Worldly point of view and economic point of view and political point of view and 1,000 point of views can be there. As many people, that many point of view could be there. We are talking about spiritual perspective. External manifestation, that is the next sloka Krishna says. A person apparently says that he has controlled his senses, but actually he has not. There is no external sign of his not being able to control the senses. Externally he is okay, as if. So one who controls the senses externally doesn't become attached to the sense objects externally, but he is terribly attached internally. External manifestation is not there, but internally he is just opposite to that. Krishna says this is hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? I tell you something which I am not. I show you what I am, which I am really not. That's called hypocrisy. Mithyachara. Mithya is not always wrong. Mithya is something which is not, something different than what it is actually. That is called mithya. Good to know if you later on read the philosophical books or something. What is the word? Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Mithya is, it appears something different than what it is. That's called mithya. There is something called asat, which you are narrating to me, but which really doesn't exist at all. In our scriptures, there are so many examples. Shashya Sringa, the horns of a rabbit. A rabbit cannot have horns. But you imagine, there was a rabbit with 2 horns in a story, which is asat, which never happens. We have another word, Vandhyaputra, son of a barren woman. If she has a son, she is not barren. If she is barren, she has no son. There are traditional examples are given. I don't know whether you are aware, in Bengal it is famous. There are vessels made of stone, regular vessels, the plate, the cup, the bowl, but made of stone. Stone is carved in form of a plate. If I say, bring the golden plate which is made of stone, either it is made of stone, either it is made of gold. You cannot say golden if it is made of stone. In Bengal is a sonar pathrabati. If it is made of stone, how it can be made of gold? So it is called asat, which doesn't exist. But there are many things which exist. But it appears to be something different than what it is. It's called mithya. These are simple things. Everyday life also we see. But people don't pay attention. If you are spiritual, you have to pay attention to the philosophical side of everything. You watch TV. All of us have seen TV. Here also we have one TV. For example, we switch on TV. And there is a beautiful natural scene. A flowing river. Beside there is a mountain. And then there is a forest, a lot of birds, animals, etc. If I tell one person, can you go and touch that bird? You go and touch. Can you touch the river? Yes. He went and touched the river. She went and touched the mountain. He went and touched the tree. But actually, all of you have touched the screen. You didn't touch anything other than screen. So there is something which is called substratum. There is something which is called adhara. We sing one song. Tumi adheya adhara. Tumi brahma nirakara. Adheya and adhara. Adhara is substratum. You are sitting on a chair. So chair is called adhara and you are called adheya, one who sits on that. From different perspective, the TV screen is called adhara. And that which is projected on the screen, internally or externally, is called adheya. Reality is what? Screen is always real in this level of existence. What you project is changing. What you project is changing. movie continuous changes. The relative existence, relatively permanent, that also is not permanent from Paramarthika point of view, but in relative point of view, this is reality. You are sitting, I am speaking is reality from Vyavaharika point of view. So, Krishna says that apparently controlling senses, but keep on enjoying the object, sense objects internally, mentally, it's called mithyachara. Why he suddenly says this? Because this is one of the biggest problem in doing work. The more worldly you are, more artificial you are, more pretentious you are, this sloka is meant for that. Sri Ramakrishna says beautifully, what others think about you and what you think about you should be as close as possible. You know who you are. The world doesn't know. So what world knows about you and what you know about yourself should be as close as possible. I may not be perfect. That's true. Could be. We are human beings. But if you know me as a monk, I should be more or less a monk. I cannot be totally opposite to that. I think what I am, you understand me in one way, both of them should be almost same. Distance is there, little difference could be there because you do not know. I don't keep on telling my faults to people, which you should not. But you should know your faults and keep on correcting yourself. It is very important. Don't be that humble that you keep on telling your own faults to people. No. You know your faults, you correct yourself is important. So what you know about yourself and what people know you, there should be less and less distance from these two. Many ways of telling are there. Sri Ramakrishna says this. What you speak and what you do should be as close as possible. Remember a simple example. Sri Ramakrishna, 150 years before, in a village. So his examples you will find are of that type. A person goes to a doctor, obviously Ayurvedic doctor, and mother says, "Doctor, my son takes so much jaggery." I don't know, doctors should be knowing. I don't know whether everywhere it is the same, but people take so much sweets, especially jaggery, that there are worms inside their stomach, not small, big, big worms. The worms are eating what the person is eating. So sometimes doctors will say, once in a year take this tablet, so your stomach will be cleared. And I have seen children passing big, big worms along with motion. Why this example comes? So the mother goes and says to the doctor, "Doctor, my son takes so much jaggery. Tell him it is not good." Doctor says, "Come tomorrow." So the lady came next day with the child. So the doctor says, "Hey, you should not take so much jaggery." Then the mother says, "Sir, this you could have told yesterday also." He said, "No, yesterday I was taking jaggery more. I have no right to say not to take jaggery if I don't stop eating jaggery." See, this is truthfulness. Idea is this, that it is not what others say about you. It is what you say about you, because saying is meant for others. What you think about you and what you say about you should be the same. I repeat, what you think you are, because you know the truth, and what you say to others who you are should be the same. Sri Ramakrishna puts little another way, that what you speak and what you do should be as close as possible. Should be identical, actually speaking. But if you are a human being, you have a weakness, so should be as close as possible. We always tone down because we know that the truth which is told, the Upadesha or the teachings which are really, really difficult for people. So knowing that, then we little tone down and say, at least try. We never say abstain from this. We say try to be away from this. Because to remain abstained from something, away from something, may not be possible for everyone. That's why we even say, okay, I will try to do this. Why can't I say, yes, surely I will do it. If you are confident, say that. But otherwise, always say, I will try to do it. Because later on you yourself will give reasons. Oh, because of this I could not, because of this I could not. No, you don't need explanation. Nobody needs your explanation. You need explanation for yourself. So idea is this: Karmendriyani Sayyamya. By controlling the senses of action, ya aste manasa smaran, but who keeps on thinking in the mind. What thinking in the mind? Indriyarthan. Indriyartha. Artha means meaning. What is the meaning of my eyes if I am not able to see? Correct? I think people have not heard from that point of view. This is there in our traditional bhajans also sometimes. Devotional songs also it is there. Eyes are eyes so far as eyes are able to see. Otherwise it is something is there. You cannot call it eyes. So, Indriyani Karmendriyani Sayyamya Ya Aste Manasa Indriyarthan Smaran. One who keeps on thinking the object in the mind, though externally he has controlled senses. Vimudhatma is a fool. Mithyachara Sochate. And this wrongdoing. Then he says, Yastu Indriyani Manasa Niyamya. One who controls the senses. You control the senses with the mind. You control the mind with the buddhi. Who controls whom? One who is higher controls the lower. Or vice versa, could be. But in this sense, the senses which goes out, earlier we discussed this subject. The five senses which are senses of knowledge, the eyes and ears and all that, they collect information and knowledge from outside. This is hard, skin came to know. This cold, skin came to know. Oh, aircon is making noise, ear came to know. Oh, that is blue, that is white, eyes came to know. So our five senses are collecting information from the world and supplying to this CPU. And here everything is processed. Everything is processed. And the conclusion of that process is passed on to the senses of action. Eyes fell on a flower. Oh, so beautiful. Immediately processor told to the hands, and hands goes and tries to touch flowers. Or they pluck flowers. So the flower by the eyes, but hands started working on that. Feet started working towards that. This mechanism we have to understand. Simple, nothing special about it. Five senses of knowledge gathers information and knowledge from the world, pass it on to the brain, and brain there is a hard disk which is called chitta, where all your samskaras are there inside. With the help of those samskaras, the feeling of good and bad comes. Feeling of happiness and misery comes. And the 5 senses of action performs action to satisfy the desire of this person behind. Who is that person? Person is the jiva, you. You are given these 5 senses to collect information. You are given the 5 senses to go and do the action. And you keep on getting what? Only 2 things. Happiness and misery. Happiness and misery. Your eyes are seeing many things. But you go towards the object which gives you happiness. Your eyes told flower is beautiful. Your leg started walking towards that. Your hand extended. Pluck the flower, but you missed that there is a thorn behind the flower. So as soon as you touch the flower, it hurts. So you got pain. And look at our beauty. Next time, as soon as you see the flower, what you call it in computer language? Algorithms. The algorithms will supply the information, hey, there could be a thorn. So you go and tactfully pluck the flower. Eventually what is happening? Yastu indriyani, one who manasa niyamya, one who controls the senses with the help of mind, arabhate, and does the work with what? Karmendriyehi, with the senses of action. Everybody does work, I told. Nobody can remain without work. One does without work, without controlling the mind. And one does the work with control of the mind. So mind has to have control on the senses. Sometimes the control is less. Sometimes the rules, so civic rules or government rules, you don't do it. When it is not, we have to, in our India mission, they like, please don't pluck the flowers. Why? It's very natural. People will see the flower and pluck it or touch it. Either they pluck or they spoil. So we should don't touch. That is helping instruction that you please control your mind. So one who controls the senses with the help of mind and does work. And if we can do work with detachment, this detachment could be the subject of our next discussion. If there is no detachment, if there is detachment with control of the mind over the senses, then only it becomes karma yoga. What is karma yoga? You do karma which should be helpful to you spiritually. Otherwise you don't call it karma yoga. There is a bhoga. You suffer. You suffer and enjoy. Both are called enjoyment technically. In our scriptures, when you say you have to enjoy the fruits of your action. Enjoyment also in bracket included suffering. The result of your actions is called fruits. So that person excels, that person progresses, that person evolves. Who has control over his senses of action. One person saw the flower and have absolute control over the CPU mind. Oh, beautiful doesn't mean you have to go and pluck. He's aware. And there is one person, as soon as he saw the flower, he went and touched, just like children. There are many shops, especially the antique shops. They write a small instruction there. Once broken, considered purchased. You don't try to, oh, it's so nice, you go and touch and break it. So it is as good as purchase. Pay. This control over the senses. Control over the senses first comes control over the senses of action. And then once you have that, then there is a control on the senses of knowledge. These two subjects will be our subject of discussion. I will keep a note. One is detachment, and secondly, control on the senses of knowledge. Senses of action, fine, you control. No, I will not touch. I know it's not good to touch, it is told. But control on the senses of knowledge, eyes, ears, tongue, skin, nose. How to control? Eventually it is mind only. These are all nothing but the external organs. So they say, physically it is not possible, one thing. I can stop breathing for 1 minute and I don't get any smell. I can close my eyes. I can shut my mouth. I don't touch the object. One sense which even scriptures give exemption is the ears. Why? There is no way to close the ears except physically. Or you put something. So even it is said in our scriptures, Sravanayadi tad vyatirikta vishayabhyo manaso nivartanam. Shravanendriya, you keep on hearing, but other senses will help you what to hear, what not to hear. So these two subjects are there which we will discuss. So one thing is, this is hypocrisy. If you don't control you have no control over the external senses. Externally you show that it is controlled, but in mind you are keep on remembering or enjoying the objects. That is not correct. Correct is one who with detachment has control over his senses of organ, and with detachment he works, that person excels. Asakta savishishyate. That person excels, that person progresses and evolves, who has control over his external senses, senses of action, and also senses of knowledge. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.